Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 7 of Zaf's podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. I just want to do one quick little plug for myself. I've been doing that the last couple of episodes, but if you all, I've noticed on my YouTube, about 50% of you guys who are watching are unsubscribed. So if you could all please like, follow, and subscribe onto the YouTube, onto my Instagram and TikTok, that would be very much appreciated. But let's get straight into it. So today, I have a very, very special guest, a big influencer in the survey world. Her name is Peta Cox. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. No, thank you for coming on, because I remember I did an episode on yours and you said you were more than happy to come on.
Yes.
So I was blown away when you said yes.
Which will be coming out soon. I kind of took a bit of a hiatus for a while.
I did notice that, but I thought, I was like, you upload it. If you don't, doesn't matter. It was actually a good experience for me, so I really had a good time.
Cool, that's nice. Yeah, no, it's going up. It's just, I think I've got about 4 or 5 sitting there that I need to edit and stuff. So I started again this week, so I'm back on track.
Yeah, nice. I find that you must have a lot in the bank then, because that's what I'm trying to do, but I find it very hard to very hard to try and get line up podcasts and then have them in the bank so that way I have something to upload every week. You must have a good system kind of.
Oh, no. When I started, when I started, it was COVID. So I wasn't as busy with work, and I was working for Cardno at that time and everything, and doing my 40 hours and, managing my projects and all that kind of stuff. So I had more time. And I just did try and do a couple a week so that before I even started, I did have that bank of 10.
Yeah.
I had 10 sitting there.
That's really good.
Ready to go up, so that if I missed a week, and I only publish every fortnight as well.
See, I've been doing the bi-weekly, but I'm stressing myself out because I've got a few guests already booked in, but it's kind of like I have to record this week, otherwise I'm not going to upload next week. I've really shot myself in the foot, and I shouldn't have done that. But I was going to ask you something actually. So actually, before I ask you that question, do you want to give a little bit of an introduction about your origins, your history, and all that stuff? Because I'm sure half of my audience aren't real familiar with the survey world.
Oh, they wouldn't be surveyors.
Yeah, well, some of them will be. I have a couple of friends who listen.
Cool.
But for the rest who aren't, if you want to provide a little introduction.
Yep. So I'm Peta Cox. I am the National Training and Development Manager for Consulting Surveyors National. I have been in the industry, surveying industry, for coming up to 28 years.
Whoa.
Ooh. Yes, I did just turn 50.
You don't look it. You don't look it.
I know, thank you. Good genes. And half of that's probably half field and half of it in education. So I sort of jumped between the two, spent a lot of time at TAFE, went back to industry, and now with Consulting Surveyors National, I've started a surveying academy where I deliver to people across Australia, Certificate 4 and Diploma. So we're in our pilot program. I've got 260 students waiting on my wait list.
Wow.
Yes.
That's huge.
I know, it's massive.
That's actually really surprising considering the shortage that we're having right now.
Yeah.
And you've got 250 in the bank ready.
Yep. So we're trying for funding and stuff like that.
Okay.
So anybody who's doing it now is paying full fees.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people who didn't want to pay full fees. So we're going, lots of things to go through. So that's my day job.
And then you've got your side hustle with all the podcasting.
Yes, I've got my podcast, which is Defining Boundaries. Little plug.
Of course, plug away.
And then the Geoholics. That's my third one.
Wait, so you've got Defining Boundaries,
Yes.
Geoholics, and which one's the other one?
Oh, no, that's the 2 that I do.
Oh, that's the 2. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's 3 in total, so everything combined. Is that what
I've
you
got
mean?
my work
Yeah.
and the podcast and my family. I'll just maybe move the family up the top. I'm trying. Yeah, so I keep very busy.
You are very, very busy.
Yes.
I actually want to ask you something about the podcast.
Sure.
And now, as soon as I went to go ask the question, then it just completely escaped my brain.
It'll come back.
It'll come back, I'm sure. It did, and then it disappeared again. But we'll just go straight into the next question. So one of the things I find interesting... Actually, it's right here. It's the question right here. So it's perfect. One of the things I found interesting about you is that you decided to do podcasts about surveying.
Yes.
It's a very niche sort of topic to talk about.
Yeah.
What inspired you to do that in the first place?
Okay, so when I was working at TAFE, I used to go to the conferences. I used to sit on the institution board for education, sit on other committees and stuff like that. So I used to get to speak to people all the time. And then so when I left TAFE, I was removed from all of that. And I kind of thought, always got to speak to so many cool surveyors who had awesome stories. And some of them are getting on. And I kind of thought, we need to capture this somehow. And because I had the time, there's two things that I wanted to try and achieve, and that was do a podcast because I listened to them all the time, maybe not so much now, and write a book. And so the book, I just don't know what I'm going to write about. So that kind of got put on the back burner. So it was the podcast that sort of came up with it. And I was speaking to Michelle, who's now my boss, who mentioned it one day. We were in some webinar or something, and she said something about podcast, and I rang her and I went, I'm going to do one. She helped me come up with the name, and then I kind of procrastinated a little bit.
I know the feeling.
Until my friend Elaine Ball from Get Kids Into Survey had me on one of her Instagram live talks, and she was like, so I believe you're doing a podcast. When is it coming out?
Oh, I'll put you on the spot.
Went, oh, I don't like you anymore. So yeah, I had to say a date. And so then, I mean, it was good because then I had a date that it had gone out into social media world. So I had to then actually go, well, okay, I need to do this now.
Was it nerve-wracking uploading that first episode? For me, just for me personally, that first episode that I've uploaded for mine, I was so nervous.
Really?
I was so nervous. I didn't know what people were going to say, what people were going to think. I was this close from not uploading and just going, nah, I'm not going to do it. So
no, I kind of don't care what other people think.
That's even better. That's perfect.
Because, I was doing it for the two reasons of, getting the stories, capturing the stories, getting them out there, but it was something that I wanted to do. So, I was hoping it would work. And if you actually go back and listen to my first probably 4 or 5 episodes, I do cringe because so I wanted to do 45-minute interviews. I had my set questions and I wasn't really listening.
I know I did that the first couple of episodes as well, and you just go, oh, shit.
Yes.
Oh, and then you just stumble, and then you go, where do I go from here?
Yeah, it's like I just needed to ask the next question. So it wasn't until my husband actually listened to it that he came home and he said it was really good, but you weren't paying attention. And I went back and listened and went, oh, my God. I was just like deflated in a sense. And so then I went, well, you know what? As long as I've got my key questions, the rest of them don't matter.
I think
because it's about them telling their story. So I want to get certain things out there, but it's for them.
Yeah, and I think your husband providing that constructive criticism actually elevated your podcast and made it even better now.
I think so. Mind you, they go for like 2 hours.
That's honestly, we've got plenty of time. When I'm working, because I usually listen to your podcast while I'm working. So 2 hours over an 8-hour day, it's nothing for me.
I know. I have people say, they're too long. I go, well, don't listen to it all.
Honestly.
I'm not going to stop someone from talking. I've had one that went for 3. No, I think the longest was 3.5, 4 hours.
Which one was that? I didn't see, unless I jumped in a bit of a later stage.
Cut some of them up.
Oh, right, okay.
I've cut some of them up and not put all of it out there, sort of thing. But yeah.
I don't know why I had this idea or this sort of thought that you started the podcast because you were trying to like spread the awareness of surveying. Because I was going to ask how is that going and spreading, but if it's more about stories, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to do a little bit more now. I am still trying to capture those stories. But, when you came on, when I asked for younger surveyors to come on, I want to get younger stories in there as well. They may not have as much to say, but I'm hoping that we can reach the younger generations. A friend of a friend or someone might listen to it and think, oh, let's just listen to this, cool young surveyor. Go and listen to it, and it's a really great area to be in instead of listening to an old person, which the young generation goes, oh,
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because when I told all my mates that I was going to be on, then all of a sudden they started getting Defining Boundaries and started waiting for that episode to pop up. So they've been like, it does work.
Are they listening now?
They better be listening.
I hope so.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind. You know, it's pretty exciting getting downloads and reaching certain milestones. You know, I look at it and go, oh, how many have I got? How many have I got?
It's addictive.
But it's not, for me, I don't really care how many downloads I get. Yeah, I've celebrated certain milestones and stuff. You know, when I reached 10,000 downloads, I thought that was pretty cool.
Hold on, I've got an effect for that. Where is it?
Well, I'm now at 13,000 something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Per episode?
Oh God, no.
Oh, total.
No, that's total.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
not per episode. I've probably got there's probably around 150 listeners, I reckon.
That's pretty good to have, though, for such a niche industry to have 150 consistently.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it kind of jumps between, you know, when I started uploading again, it'll sort of go back up to that, you know, 150 sort of thing, and then it'll drop down again, and it jumps up and down all the time, but you know,
it always depends who you have on as well.
It does. Yeah.
Because I had one of my friends, so my very first episode that I had on my Spotify, he's by far the best one. I've got about 50 listens on that. But every other one that I've had after that, they're still up there, but not as high as that. So it definitely depends on who you have.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, if you look at my my base of people, there's like, I think I'm hitting 77% Australian, 12% America, 2% Canada, and then it goes down.
Yeah.
But I've got like nearly every country listens.
That's huge.
There might be one person in a country.
But it still pops up. That's amazing.
Still pops up.
What I'm going to go off topic a little bit. What sort of app or website do you use to kind of look at your analytics?
I use Anchor.
That's what I use as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought, because it's free.
Yeah, it's free. I don't get sponsors. I'm not sponsored. The only money that I've ever got out of doing my podcast was the Southern Group, Southern Group, gifted me $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Right near the beginning, or a year after. Can't remember now. It gifted me $1,000, which helped me buy some portable equipment and some update some stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
and it goes a long way too. That little bit of money just to buy that better equipment. It's that little bit of quality of life. It's so much nicer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really lucky too, because being a co-host on the Geoholics, they actually bought me a small single mixer and microphone and stuff like that. So the money I got from the institution, I put towards building a website and also buying a portable recording equipment. So, which I've used when I interviewed Tim. Oh gosh, I can't think of his last name. Sorry, Tim.
I think that was was that the guy who also has a podcast about cars?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember. I listened to that episode. It was a really good episode.
That was actually my first ever face-to-face.
Oh, okay.
And it was so much fun. And we sat on the floor in his office, because he was up on a chair, and I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm not sitting on a chair. Yeah. I'm going to sit on the floor.
Did he make you walk as well?
No, he didn't make me. He did not make me walk. Can we just say, yes, I might be a bit red and flustered, because John made me walk.
It's only 5 centimeters. I'm sorry.
Miles and miles.
In this blistering heat.
Up hills.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. But yeah, Tim, with my portable equipment, he was my first interviewer. We sat on the ground and just chatted, and I really, really enjoyed that one. So, it is face-to-face is awesome.
I prefer the face-to-face, and I think it's just a bit more of a human interaction. You know what I mean? Like when I was on Zoom before, when I was with you, that was the first ever podcast I ever did. My mind went like 3,000 miles an hour. I tried to string a sentence, and I was saying things, but it felt like it didn't make sense. And after the episode, I kind of sat down and I went, I hope what I said wasn't just garbage.
I'm going to have to go and listen to it now.
Like, honestly, I've gone, I'm just waiting until it comes out and go, that's really bad.
No, I'm pretty sure it was fine.
Hopefully. Well, we'll see how we go. All right, let's get into it.
Okay,
because I've got some controversial questions that I like to ask. So
Okay.
one of the ones I want to ask is, I'm like, this is going to be red hot, so let's just get into it.
Mm.
What do you believe right now are some of the problems that the surveying industry is facing right now?
Problems. Hey, these are my questions. I'm supposed to.
Yeah, well, you did ask me that too, but I want to put it on you now.
Problems in surveying right now. It's divided.
What do you mean by that? It's divided.
The different entities associated with the profession, everybody's trying to do their own thing. Not saying that everything everybody's doing is bad, but it's like, why reinvent the wheel if it's already there? So for me, it's more, if somebody's doing something good, why don't we combine and do it together?
Okay.
Why
What's an
don't
example of that?
you look at the education sort of thing, task force, which is now surveying careers, is run really, really well in New South Wales because we have a dedicated person. I say we, New South Wales Consulting Surveyors has a dedicated person. Queensland has Destination Geospatial.
Okay.
Let's leave that pause there because there is nothing happening there.
Okay.
Right? Queensland doesn't even have anywhere that delivers surveying except for university now. Western Australia, there's nothing happening. So our problem is surveyors never used to advertise themselves. They actually weren't allowed to quite a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah.
When you say they weren't allowed to advertise, like they weren't allowed to say they were land surveyors?
They weren't allowed to put an advertisement in. You weren't, or you could have your name in the yellow pages or whatever as a surveyor. But what we're doing now would never have been able to be done.
How long ago did this?
This is a long time
Oh,
ago.
right, okay.
But still, I can't remember what dates are. But in my time, sort of thing. Which means that surveyors really are quite, I say introverted, but they just like to get in and do their job. So the community, the schools, the kids, the parents, the builders, a lot of them don't know what a surveyor is.
It's funny you mentioned that because I had a couple of boys come on my podcast and the first thing we said was when someone comes up to you and asks you, what do you do? And you say, I'm a surveyor. The first thing they say is, what's that?
Yep.
That's the very first thing. And what do you tell people when they ask, when they ask you what's a surveyor or what do you do?
Yeah, so if someone sort of says anything about surveying, because I've had that, the kids go, or something about surveying, and they'll go, oh, so you ask people questions.
Yeah, that's automatically they think it's a survey. Exactly right.
No, it's like, well, okay, we define where things are on the land in relation to other things. I said, so, where a house is positioned, you have boundaries, we do heights and all this. So I've sort of kind of go through that, and it's trying to come up with a short, exciting elevator pitch. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm still working on it.
I think you're doing pretty well.
But it is trying to explain to them, and the biggest thing is it's not just land surveying.
Yep.
I want to get out there that surveying is a great career, and whether you like sports, outdoors, you're a techie, you enjoy all of your Minecraft and games and all of that kind of stuff. There's so many different areas. You like photography. There's so many different areas that you can be interested in and become a surveyor and then pull off onto that little niche and go into your hydrography, go into your drones, your
laser
photogrammetry, your laser scanning. You can be a land surveyor or you can be a construction surveyor. There's so many different areas. So you don't just have to be a land surveyor.
That's actually I never really thought of it that way, that you can kind of niche into different things because you're right, there's a lot of different applications when it comes to surveying.
Yeah.
Huge.
And that's how we've got to get the kids in. Because there's so many kids out there that would be suited to the technology that we have now. And you see younger ones coming through who pick up.
Oh, they're wizards.
The scanning, the point cloud stuff, they just pick it up so quick.
I know.
My brain is just too full of stuff that, it's like I really want to learn how to do that. But it's like, I don't think I can anymore. I know a little bit about everything. That's enough to keep me going. But these guys and girls come through, these people.
I know.
I always get in trouble saying guys. These people, well, actually, I tell myself off for it. These people coming through, the younger people, can do all of that. And they pick it up so quick. So it's not only them learning and mentoring off older surveyors. The older surveyors can be learning and vice versa off the younger ones coming through. And just finding what you enjoy doing.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a well said.
Oh, good.
I want to backtrack to what you were saying about how sort of everything's kind of divided, how New South Wales has a system, Queensland has a system, Western Australia has a system, but they're all different and they're all divided and they don't all kind of make sense with each other.
Yeah.
So you find that to be one of the problems. So you would prefer, and I'm trying not to put words in your mouth, but you would prefer like to have one system?
No, because every state does do things slightly differently. It doesn't necessarily have to be one system, but it's just about all of the entities working together.
Okay.
Stop thinking that one is better than the other.
Yeah, that's rubbish. I don't understand that.
Stop thinking that you're giving more than the other one is. Every association, institution, or every little different entity that belongs to surveying has their place. Just work together.
Yeah.
This drives me crazy.
Yeah, no, I understand completely.
It drives me crazy. We as a surveying profession are a small industry. We're
going through, from what I seem to understand, one of the biggest shortages we've ever faced. And it's not getting better. One of my friends, he's currently at the UNSW doing his degree, and his professor, I can't remember his name to save my life.
Not Craig Roberts.
Might be Craig Roberts. And he was saying, try and encourage your friends to come and do the degree, because I don't know if I'm going to have a job next year with the amount of students coming in. That's what he told me. And I couldn't believe that, because once upon a time when I was kind of transitioning from my construction management to my my survey degree, I actually applied to UNSW, and I applied 3 times and they said no 3 times.
Why?
I don't know why. Well, I think the first time was because maybe my ATAR wasn't good enough, and their ATAR is really high. Last time I checked, it was a 91 point something.
Yeah, I think it's down to 90.
Okay, but that's still very high.
Still, this is UNSW. You can't have a go at the school as such of surveying, but this is a UNSW problem.
Okay.
Because they are a research. I mean, most universities do research. They are particularly a big research university, and they want to have status.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
So unless you're a kid at school who's good at your maths, good at your physics, all that kind of stuff, and are getting up in your 90s, what are you going to do?
Well, if you're getting your 90s and you're doing all those different degrees, you're more than likely going to go into engineering, but
more jobs in surveying.
A lot more jobs in surveying. You'll get a job straight after.
They go to engineering.
Yeah, well, mainly civil and then electrical, and then it kind of goes down the list down there. But surveying is like way, way at the bottom.
Yeah.
We get about 30 students a year, apparently. And then by the time you actually get to the end of the degree, it's about 15 or less.
I know, it's sad, isn't it?
That's just UNSW. And then you've got Newcastle, and I think that's on a similar boat as well.
It's on a similar numbers, although then you talk about USQ.
That's where I went to uni. I went to USQ. So I'm not 100% sure what the numbers are there, but I think they're more.
They've got like 600 or 700 over all of their years at the moment.
Per year?
No, over
over the whole thing.
But still, that's
massive.
It's massive.
Yeah.
So most of the students now. So Newcastle's ATAR is, I believe,
I think it's 80.
80 something.
Yeah, that's what last time I checked as well.
80 something.
Yeah.
It was 87. I think it's been dropped.
Yep.
And then it was a bit lower. Might have been 85. I can't remember now. I've got the stats somewhere, but it was a lot better. And then you go to every other university in Australia that does surveying, and they're all around the 70.
Yeah. Wow. 70 or 700?
No, around the 70 ATAR to get in.
Oh, 70
to get
ATAR,
into-
sorry.
to get into for your ATAR.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you can see why there's no numbers coming through.
Well, especially in New South Wales
And
anyway.
why USQ is getting so many.
Yeah, well, that's where I went. I applied 2 weeks before the semester started, and I spoke with Glenn Campbell.
Yep.
And he goes, yeah, just
Great
apply.
guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yep.
Apply, got in straight away. And I did about my first year into USQ. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try one more. This was my third time. I'll try one more for UNSW. And every time I got the letter, it said, oh, you're eligible for the degree, but we've given the offer to another candidate. And he just went through all the rounds. And then at the end, it had that little asterisk saying it was full. I thought, well, you know, I've got my degree and I'm happy that I went through it. But why did I not get in? Anyway, it's in the past now. I can have a whinge about it.
UNSW don't take TAFE students either. Vocational
can't you
students.
fast track though through TAFE?
So if you go to Newcastle or you go to USQ,
Yeah.
they will look at what you've done
Okay.
and give you a certain amount of credits or exemptions.
Yeah.
UNSW, because it's competency based, they won't even look at them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well.
Tell me where the problem is.
Well.
And I don't want to bag universities. You know,
Yeah.
we need universities. There needs to be workarounds.
I
But
think
the university puts it back on the vocational side
yeah.
to give the answer.
Okay. I think it's you kind of have to work together, right? And I understand why, like you said before, it's that status, right? That's UNSW wants to keep that status high, and that's why the ATAR is very high.
Yeah.
But it's harming our industry as well, especially since there's only 2 universities that offer it.
Yeah.
If it was offered at Western Sydney and the ATAR was a little bit lower, and then it was offered at Macquarie and the ATAR was, in between those two, at least you can kind of say, oh, you still go to this university and get that degree. But there's only 2 unis that offer it,
Yeah.
which is abysmal.
Yeah. And South Australian Uni has stopped delivering.
They stopped.
Yep. They're putting through the last cohort that's going through now.
Yep.
Whoever's left, and then it wasn't offered this year.
Wow.
They're trying to get that to go to one of the other unis down there to get another course up and running, but yeah.
I wonder why though. Is it because people don't know about it? Oh, it's about the money?
It's kind of a bit of both.
Yeah.
The numbers are low.
Yeah. But
and so it's not
getting the funding.
It's not getting the funding.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Yep.
But why do you think younger people aren't applying for surveying and things like that?
They still don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is. Parents don't know what it is. Yet it's just unbelievable. Even if you go on a job site, some might know about surveying, but not what you actually do. And they don't realise that you're the keeper of the boundaries. A job can't start without a survey being done. A job can't be finished until a survey is completed. We're there from start to finish on a job.
Yeah. And we're very critical.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's not only just for the cadastral side, but also throughout construction as well, like setting out grids or setting out columns or whatever the builder needs.
Well, you have to be.
Yeah.
If you start setting up and going up on your floors and your grids are slightly out, you've got a twisted building.
Yeah.
You got a twisted building. What happens to your lift wells? Well, they're not straight. How's the lift going to go up and down? They've got fine areas of gaps and stuff that they've got to build those lifts in. If that building's not straight,
you're buggered.
You're buggered.
Yeah. And worst case scenario is they've got to knock down the building and start again, and that's big dollars.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure some people understand that.
Some people do.
Yeah.
And if anything goes wrong, you blame the surveyor.
That's the first one they blame, don't they? Story of my life.
Yet they seem to they don't seem to realise that most of the time we're doing so many checks. I mean, it's a push onto my students. You've got to check. You've got to validate your work. When you're setting up and you're doing something, what are you checking to? What are you doing for your E-sections? Are they all placed nicely, or you've got
good geometry?
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. When you set up and you're doing work, how often do you check onto your backside to make sure you haven't moved, or you know, all those different.
Are you doing
types of things.
two-face resection? Or are you doing one face?
Yeah.
It all makes a difference.
Yep. So I'm pushing that.
Yeah.
Through all
And
my students
you have
all the
to.
time.
You have to, because if you don't do your checks, then how do you know what you've placed is right?
Yeah.
You know, so,
Yep.
and when push comes to shove and then they go, oh, is that mark correct? And you go and check it and it's out and you look back and you didn't do your checks, well, then it is actually your fault because you should have done your checks.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
You know, and for the sake of, what is it, maybe 5-10 minutes of just continually checking every once in a while, it's a no-brainer. You can't even think twice. Just go and do it.
It doesn't take long.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of check shocks back. As long as you know what you're looking at in your data to make sure that everything is good. It's not hard.
No, it's not hard at all. But going back to the awareness and trying to get more kids to get into surveying, because you said you've kind of been going down that road as well, right? And trying to get more people to get in. So what have you, I guess, your role and what have you been doing to kind of get more kids in?
So I work for Consulting Surveyors National, but I sit in the office with the New South Wales ladies. And as I said, we have a dedicated lady who works on the task force, going into careers days at schools, the big massive careers days. They do a diversity day where they reach out to schools and sort of say, okay, you know, we give us 3 or 5 people out of your school that are interested in this, this and this. We bring them in, we do a day with them, show them, you know, how the GPS works and how GNSS works, and we do a little boundary type of thing. We do scanning. We sort of show them all this different stuff. They come and sit down and have lunch, have a talk, listen, you know, get to talk with the surveyors that have sponsored them on the table. So there's those kind of diversity days, maths in surveying, where that's usually run by Ian Idale, who is an older surveyor. He's retired, but he set up this program where you do different activities, different schools come in. So that's getting run around the country. They just did one in Norfolk Island, you know, so things like that. I worked with the Department of Education to do an iSTEM program, an elective program for surveying, which brought in real-world activities and interesting activities so that they can choose that as an elective and learn about it and think, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. So we could go and do whatever subjects we need to do in Year 11 and 12. That then led to some maths teachers who saw the iSTEM program, and then they started working on maths resources so that they could take kids out and do exercises outside, do their mathematics and all that sort of stuff. So there was, you know, orienteering type of stuff with coordinates and directions and stuff like that. Reading distances across rivers and, you know, all the trig kind of stuff. How does that trig come into play? Your different triangles and all that kind of stuff. One of the teachers is really into his computers. He's using Minecraft.
Oh, wow.
He's using Minecraft, getting them to, you know, navigate, getting them to measure heights of buildings and all of this kind of stuff. So they've now built these resources to give to other maths teachers because a maths teacher basically likes to teach out of a book. So if they've got the resources, they may actually just grab it and run with it. So working with the Department of Education, things like that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's amazing. I wish we kind of had that stuff when I was growing up because I had no idea about surveying when I was. Yeah. I only found out about it when I had like my midlife crisis at 20 years old, and when I don't want to do this construction management degree anymore. And then my dad goes, "Oh, what about surveying?" And that's a whole other story. That's how I pretty much got into it because of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting into the careers advisors, it's getting into the geography teachers, it's getting into the maths teachers. Yeah. It's, you know, it's not just about one person in the school now. And that's what Kathy tries to do, is connect with the careers advisors, with the maths teachers, the geography, the history. You know, we're history as well.
Yeah.
So,
huge.
Yeah. So
we're looking at maps that I've looked at maps that are over 100 years old.
Awesome. Yeah,
well, sometimes they're a bit of a pain in the ass, but you know.
No, they're fun.
Okay. It depends on the map, to be honest. One thing I wanted to ask was, before I ask this question, do you find that the stuff that you're doing is actually encouraging more young kids to come into the career? Do you find that the numbers are starting to go up?
I would like to say yes. not me personally,
Mm-hmm.
but when we look at the task force and what the industry bodies are doing to try and bring people in, they're really advocating for it. Where Michelle, my boss, is pushing to get onto radio, into the papers,
Mm-hmm.
getting out there, all the floods, everything that happened at Lismore. If the surveyors were actually involved in it, they could have, had things checked better. They might have more of an idea. That just all these different sorts of things. So it's just trying to get our story out into the public for them to hear surveyor, 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 surveyor. So people start asking, hang on, what's a surveyor?
Yeah.
That's the things that we're trying to do. And it's working. It's getting better. We're a lot better than where we were 10 years ago, but we have a lot of infrastructure happening. There's a lot of money being spent. We have not had the capacity of bringing people into the industry to keep up with what's been going on.
Yeah. And that's at least we're taking a step forward in the right direction. And like you said, we've got so much work going on right now. We're just we're just swamped with it, right? And then you can get into the other side of the coin. And I guess it's not so much doing with the kids and in trying to get more people into the industry. It's now we're looking at people who are in the industry right now, and everyone's undercutting each other, and there's so much work going around, and you just go, "What?
Don't talk to me about that one."
I know that's a very I know it's a very pink top.
Yes.
What's called hot topic for in surveying. But anyway, I want to get into that one a little bit later. But
it's not just the kids; it's people who are career change as well.
What do you mean?
Older people.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because when I was at USQ, I was quite surprised on how many people were, I guess in their 30s and 40s who decide to go into surveying.
Yep.
And there's more people, more and more people coming into this industry. And I always wondered how they found out about it at such a late age.
Depending what they're doing, sometimes you've got builders or, people who realise that their bodies may be starting to fail them and will not be able to do another 40 years of work and sort of go, okay, I'm going to have to change direction.
Yeah.
What can I do in the same vicinity and keep my brain working? Because, builders and construction, they're using their brains all the time. And sort of go and love being outdoors. Yeah. Therefore, surveying is a perfect fit for them.
I love surveying because of the fact that you have it both in and out. That's one of the best things I love about surveying. I don't think I could ever be just an outdoor surveyor, and I don't think I could ever just be in the office.
No, I agree. Says me sitting in an office every day. The best of both worlds. Yeah. Yeah, I love doing the drafting and all of that kind of stuff as well. I love, managing teams and all of that kind of stuff. But getting outside and adventuring and
yeah, honestly, it's the best part. One of the things I want to ask you, I'm just reading this question now.
Oh gosh.
So, what are your thoughts about the registration process? Because I have thoughts already.
Registration in New South Wales?
Yeah, New South Wales.
Okay. I think it needs to be changed.
I absolutely agree with that.
And I'm not the only one that thinks that. And there are registered surveyors who also believe that it should be changed.
In what way, though? When you say change, what do you mean?
Okay, so different ideas on different things. But I know technical surveyors who are more knowledgeable and better surveyors than some of the graduate and registered surveyors that have gone through university, right? Yet they know how to do the job, but they're not allowed to because they're not registered. Why is there not a program that they can go through to become registered?
I think
Why
you're
do
absolutely
you
right.
have to have that 4-year degree? Why can they not go, okay, what is it that these people need who have been in industry for 10, 15, however many years you want to do it? What extra do they need? Do they need to do a law unit, which most of them know a lot of that stuff anyway? I used to work with a registered surveyor. I learnt how to run the whole business. I learnt how to do occupations. I knew how to do strata plans. I learnt how to do all of that stuff. Don't ask me now. I've been out of it for too long. But, you know, there's the people that know how to do it. So why can there not be a system where is the 4-year degree too long?
I think the 4-year degree is way too bloated.
And I can't speak to it because I've never done it.
I've done it and I can speak to it. So it's bloated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it that you really need to do to be a land surveyor? And then fill in the gaps for them. Don't say you've got to go to uni for 4 years to get your degree to go and be registered. Surely there must be another
Well, it's not just that. You do your 4-year degree
you've got exams and time and...
Yeah, well, then you've got to do the minimum 26 weeks. So let's say you don't even do your... you just do uni, you haven't even gone to work in the field. Then you go straight into work.
Okay,
then 26... No, go on.
If you're doing uni...
Yeah.
You should be working for a surveyor.
Oh, yes, while you're at uni,
yes.
100%.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Well, that's what I did. I was working while I was at university. And it really, really helped me while I was at school learning.
But then you're getting your time up then.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that people should be doing straight away is become a candidate, right? So I think, can you become a candidate? I have to double check that. I thought you have to have a degree before, or at least a qualification before you can be a candidate.
Okay. So I think before you have to have your degree by the time you sit your first exam.
Oh, right.
Understanding.
Okay.
I'm not.
I know.
I don't know about that. I don't care about that. No. Yes, I don't know the full process of it as it goes through, but that is my understanding that you have to have your degree to sit your first.
I think you need your degree. I also know to sit engineering and town planning, you need to have 26 weeks. Which is 6 months of work. It's absolutely nothing, right? So if you had no experience and you just go straight into working full-time, 26 weeks, you can now see engineering, which, okay, sure. And then another 52 weeks, another 26 weeks on top, so 52 total. Then you can sit your urban, strata, and rural examinations. Now, I personally don't think that we need to be sitting engineering and town planning. That's me personally. And the reason why I think that is pretty much 90% of companies, I think in Sydney, I can't speak for Queensland or any other state, but in Sydney, especially in the Sydney metropolitan area, 90% of firms are just doing strata, urban and rural. Yeah. I don't think there might be the slight few that are.
Yeah.
So I think there should be a tier system.
Yeah. So that's my other part of it is why do you have to sit 5 exams when you're never going to do town planning and you're never going to do this or you're never going to do strata or whatever? Why can you not have the different registrations? You're registered as an engineering professional. You're registered as a rural and urban professional. You're registered. So you have different registrations.
That's a cool idea. I didn't even think about that. So if you pass your your urban, then you can become registered in urban. You can do any urban job.
Yeah.
I like that, actually. I think that's a really cool thought. I never thought about that at all. I thought you have to do strata. My system was tier 1 was, say, you do strata, urban and rural. Then you can be a tier 1 registered. Then tier 2 is those 3 plus engineering and town planning if you wanted to do them. But I actually really like your one a lot better. I think that's way better because then, some people don't do strata at all. So why would they need to do strata? Some people don't do rural. So why would they need to go do rural?
Yeah.
So I really like that.
And then, as you're working and you might think that I might want to get into that, you can start doing the work with another registered surveyor that has that experience to learn the ropes to then go and sit the exam for that specific niche area.
And then you're not wasting it essentially because it's so daunting looking at 5 subjects that you have to sit. And I'm finding it, especially for myself, I can't speak to anyone else, but I'm finding it sometimes a bit really unmotivating that I have to sit and do 5 examinations. It's like going to uni all over again. I've done uni for 9 years.
You just got to focus on one at a time.
I know, but I've shot myself in the foot because I did 9 years of uni.
Yeah.
So it's like I've got to do another 2.5 years on top.
There's a lot of people that do that.
I know. I'm just whinging.
Yeah. Whinge away. But, if you really want to be a registered surveyor, don't look at the big daunting picture.
Yeah, you're right. You do have to break it up.
Break it up and just focus on the one you know, I know some people have gone and done 2 at a time and all that kind of stuff, but you know, if you're doing urban, then you really need to know strata.
Yeah.
They kind of go hand in hand.
I think you're right. Yeah.
You need to have those, which then, you know, you may need that for rural.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know much about what's happening with rural sort of stuff. But yeah, focus.
Well, I think with strata, you're right, because you've got to have a base plan, and that base plan is essentially like a DP.
Yeah.
So, you know, you do have to know both.
Yep.
So
there's a lot to know for strata.
Yeah. Oh, that's the exam I'm going to sit right now. And apparently, it's the most failed.
It is the most failed because I think people overlook the complexities of strata plans.
And also
stratum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's, from what I seem to understand, it's black and white. There's no grey area like urban and rural where you can kind of say, you know, you can kind of wiggle your way out of a question.
You've got to justify how you've got your fix and how you've defined everything. Where, you know, and because of where marks are and how you do things, there is slightly different ways. You know, a surveyor coming from one end of the street to define a boundary may get a different answer from a surveyor coming from the other end of the street.
Yeah.
Your strata is on your block of land.
Yeah. And it's one set of rules, and what are they?
And it's those centre lines, it's those, you know.
Thick lines, thin lines, all that sort of stuff. What do they mean? Community titles. Oh, yeah. I know. Community plans, sorry. I should know that.
Community plans.
Yeah, I should know that. I'm going to be sitting it soon. But I want to round about to the diploma part. So what do you think people who are doing diplomas and I guess what a process should be for them to become registered? I know it doesn't exist right now, but what do you think should be a process for them?
It's the time.
Okay.
It's the time working in the field.
So you reckon, 5 years and then they should be registered, or 5 years and they have to sit a course?
I think they need at least the 5 years of experience.
Yep.
Honestly, depending on who they're working for also.
Okay.
You know, you've got some companies who just use and abuse.
Yeah.
And they're just out there in the field setting out buildings.
Well, they've got a name. I think because the survey industry is so small, they already know who they are. Or it's known amongst the surveyors to kind of stay away. Well, I know them anyway, so I kind of just stay away from them.
You know, if they were to become registered, it just looks on the whole system of how the registration process would go. I truly believe that all surveyors need to do business.
Yes, I agree with that.
Which I don't believe is really done.
You can, if you do an elective, you can choose to do business.
Right, you can choose to.
Yeah, you can choose. So I got all my electives exempted, but when I did my construction degree, I did a business course. Yeah. So I do have that background, but it's been a while since I've done it. But yeah, you can choose to do it, but I don't think a lot of people do, from what I seem to understand.
So surveyors make great surveyors.
Yeah.
Surveyors don't necessarily make good business people.
Yeah. Well, what's your experience when you say that? What do you mean? Like they just make poor business decisions? They don't charge enough? What do you mean?
They're not learnt. They haven't learnt how to run a business properly. Okay. Right? You talk about your charging. Okay. They charge a really low fee. They don't understand that within what they charge, they need to cover wages, superannuation, insurance, overheads, all of that kind of stuff.
Expenses, everything.
Everything needs to come out of that little piddly little price that they're charging, right? So then they're always chasing their tail. We've got to get another job because we need the money, right? So I've always told my students the way that I've kind of learned it is that you need to charge a job out at least 3 times your rate that you get paid in your wage.
I think that's fair.
At least to cover costs and you've got to make something out of it.
Yeah.
But that's the minimum to cover everything.
Do you see that a lot, though, in different businesses, that they're just not charging enough?
It still happens.
Oh, I'm sure it does. A lot of the companies I worked for, I'm not going to say which companies, but I think they charge pretty well. So I think they're doing okay, but I haven't seen in my experience, I haven't seen businesses that undercharge.
It still happens.
Yeah.
And you'll find that, there are some larger companies that do it, but probably more the sole operators
Yeah.
as well. They don't have as many overheads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, they're shooting themselves in the foot as well.
Exactly, because then when they start to expand, there's an expectation of that fee. And then you can't really charge anymore. Well, you can if you want to, but then you might start losing clientele because of that. So, it's a two-pronged sword or double-edged sword.
I had a friend who put a quote in for a job, and it came out to, I think, maybe 132,000 or something.
Yeah, pretty cheap.
Yep. The company came back to them and said, we've only budgeted for 85. Can you do it for 85?
$50,000 less. I wouldn't even respond to that.
Oh, he did. He said, no.
Yeah, well, that's the appropriate response to have.
Yeah.
Jesus, some people have the balls,
because
honestly,
the company
to ask that.
who's done all of the budgeting doesn't understand what's involved in the survey work in the first place.
Yeah.
If you're quoting for something, you need to go and speak to the people who are going to be doing work for you so you understand what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
We are important. We are so important.
We're so important, and we're going through this huge shortage, and it's just this ongoing disaster like happening for us right now.
Yeah. But over the next few years, 5 years, I think it is, we need 1,500 new students, students coming through university and the vocational sector. I think it's 5 years, or I don't know. It's like the numbers that are coming out, we're looking at I think it's 200 a year or something.
Yeah, it's nothing. And then how many of those people actually become registered as well?
How many of them stay in the industry too?
I didn't even think about that. That's a good question. So I guess kind of looking at the brighter side of things, that
there
the
is
people,
a bright side.
yes. So the people who are already in the industry, I guess, are going to reap the benefits, because then you look at, I guess, the supply and demand of things, because if you've got this huge demand and this extremely small supply and it's getting smaller and smaller, then the demand gets higher and higher. And I guess people in that industry should expect higher wages as well, because if you can then charge more, you would hope so. And that's another thing. That's another thing as well. I also personally think that the supply and demand chain in this industry is a little bit broken, in the sense that from what I've seen, companies don't like to pay as much for their surveyors. Now, I'm very happy where I'm working. I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think as a whole, in the whole industry, surveyors should be getting paid more.
They should.
Yeah.
I've got a good friend who is getting paid ridiculously pittance amount.
Wow.
And
As it registered or?
No, technical surveyor.
Okay.
But it's convenient.
Mm.
They have bills to pay. They have mortgages to pay, all this kind of stuff. So it's the unknown of doing something else or going somewhere else. But I'm constantly onto them about this. They are using you.
Yeah.
They are using. Clients are asking for you.
Yeah.
So if clients are asking for you, you're doing a good job.
You're valuable for sure.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
So are you? Oh, I'm not going to pry into that. I'll just leave it there.
But that's been, this is a decent sized company that may have, 15, 20 employees.
Okay. It's a pretty big company.
Decent company.
For surveying anyway.
Yeah.
Well, let's slide away from that.
Yep.
And I want to ask you, because we're actually creeping up to almost an hour now.
That's okay.
So, yeah.
I don't know. How long do these go for?
I like to keep my podcast about an hour, just because I'm kind of entry level right now, and just gives me enough time, because I do a full YouTube video. I do TikToks. Because I'll send them to you as well before I upload so you can approve. But I usually like to end my podcast with a bit of a hypothetical question.
Okay, before you do the hypothetical,
okay.
We talked about, about surveying and getting people into surveying and stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I want to put it out there, if there's any surveyors who are listening to this that want to give back and want to make a difference, come and see me, because I need teachers.
Wow. Okay, cool.
We need teachers. We need teachers. We need people to take the time to get their certificate for in training and assessment and give back.
Wow.
Give their knowledge back. And it's half a day, 1 day a week for depending on what unit you're delivering or depending on how much you want to do, this is where we have to keep the teachers up. Otherwise, there is no delivery.
Yeah.
There is no surveying. And the university's the same.
Well,
They're struggling. They're struggling for lecturers as well.
Well, from what my friend said, the students are getting lower and lower every year. So, so guys, if you know any surveyors, hit Peter up. So let's get into this hypothetical question. And
PeterCox.com.
PeterCox.com. If you want, do you want to do a bit of a cheeky plug for yourself, like for your other podcast? Oh, no, we can do that at the end as well. Yeah, we'll do that at the end. All right. So actually, I just saw one of my questions.
We're going to go over an hour, right?
Yeah, we are. We're definitely getting over an hour. So there's
I have that effect.
So I've got this one last question, and
Okay.
I think this is a super interesting question.
All right.
What do you think surveying will look like in 10 to 15 years?
Okay. So we have technology, right? Which is coming along in meets and bounds.
It's rapidly. It's
Did
rapid.
You get that one?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's rapid. They are working on it so much. We're still going to have surveying. We're still going to have surveyors. We're always going to have our boundaries, our cadastre, all of that kind of stuff. But we need to move with the technology.
Yes, agreed.
Right? We need to be able to understand it and use it, because anybody can pick up data. It's what you do with that data.
And understanding
And the data is important. So we're turning more from always being out in the field into more of an office-based. There's still going to be field, but it's managing the data.
Yeah.
And validating and combining and all of that kind of stuff with the data. Because that's how technology is going.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand it, you've got to work with it, you've got to progress with it, because otherwise you're going to have people who are out there now laser scanning, right? As an example, or drones. What control do they have? How are they piecing their photogrammetry together? Scanning. How are they combining their scans? How are they, overlapping them with the control, bringing them in? Do they know that if you scan too far, that you're going to have warping? That it's there's all these things that we know that they don't necessarily know, that you need the surveyor to be able to control that. So we have to be in there, get in there. That's technology is massive. It's going to change. I mean, it's been changing. I've seen so many changes. When I first started, I had a data record. Well, the distance measurer was on the top, and then we went to a EDM that had a data recorder where you plugged it in. Right, a TopCon FC5 data recorder. That was,
kicking it old school.
Old school.
And that was new tech back then, though.
Yeah.
And that would have been huge. You probably went, "Oh my God, what is this?"
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I used to do all the drafting. So I set my codes up. I was, first user of CivilCAD. I brought CivilCAD into the office. I had all my codes. So I used to go out and do a detail. My boss would be out there on the stick. He'd be on the pole walking around. I'd be at the instrument with my data recorder, putting all my codes in, all my strings in, way back.
Yeah.
Right? I'd come back to the office. I'd have all of my library set up. I would download, and I would have my whole job there. My detail would take less than an hour to draft up and get out the door.
That's so good. That's really efficient.
All of my strings, all of my attributes, everything was done.
So it's just tidying it up, maybe adding a few notations here and there.
Putting your boundaries on, bits and pieces, checking a few things, do your contour intervals, put your contour labels on.
Yeah, yep.
That kind of stuff. Checking bits and pieces, out the door.
That's really good. That's very efficient. I think going back to, what surveying will look like in 10 to 15 years, I personally think in 10 years the theodolite's going to die. I think eventually we won't be using that anymore.
Possibly. It'll be inbuilt into your scanners. It'll be inbuilt into something else.
I think
in some way, shape or form.
I think there needs to be more. I did a thesis or a dissertation, whatever USQ calls it, it's one of the two, on augmented reality.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. And
I
think
want to see that.
it's nothing to brag about,
Doesn't
to be
matter.
honest.
I want to see it.
And the applications for augmented reality, they're very kind of rough right now, but over time, when it gets more fine tuned, I think that's going to be the future. There's going to be people wearing goggles, and they're going to have some sort of contraption, and they're just going to, instead of having to set up a set of legs and they have a pole and then they need to have constant visibility, they're going to be able to figure out a way where they can just walk around and detail without having to point and use a pole. That's the future. And they'll have goggles, and then they'll see in 3D all the line work. Have they missed anything? And they'll be able to see through buildings the line work, and it's going to be way more complicated, but it's going to be way more efficient
In
too.
10 years, you reckon?
I reckon in 10 years. I think AR's already making huge sort of leaps forward.
Yeah.
Not in surveying though, more in gaming.
Yeah.
So, and if they bring some of those applications, like I have a lot of ideas on how I think augmented reality can be used.
Look, I mean, you look at the subsurface, the files, you can do a similar sort of thing more on your phone, and you can push it around like that, and you can see where it is if you've loaded the file on there. Did you see me with my helmet and my augmented goggles on?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Oh, just before Christmas sometime.
Oh, spewing. I wish I had saw it. I would have commented.
It's on my reels.
Okay.
Go and have a look.
Okay, I'll go take a look.
But yeah, I had that on. They had a building.
Oh, yes, I did see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that was just a stupid little bit that I was mucking around and stuff. But you going in there, and I could pinch and move things around and twist the building around and stuff like that. But that's all you could do with it.
That's the thing. Like in that sense, like more for the design that you can see buildings and stuff. Yeah, that's kind of cool. But I'm talking about for surveying practices. Like,
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I can see it getting there.
Yeah.
But the accuracy. What accuracy are you after? Everything has its place.
Sure.
So depending on the accuracy that you need. And I wonder if the AI can give us the accuracy that we need. For certain things, yes.
I think, at the moment, not really.
No.
But I think in 10 years, it'll be good enough to do, say, like maybe some detailed surveys, depending on accuracies, depending on what you need, right?
Yeah,
So
but when you're
I
doing
think
a detailed
sub-20
survey, if you're using AI for a detailed survey, you're out there picking up things. So what's collecting the data?
I do want to say, because I have a concept on how I think AI is going to work, but I don't want to say it at the same time because I feel like it's my idea.
We'll say it off air.
Off
okay?
air, yep.
But that's the thing, that something has to collect the data. You're still going to have to walk around with something.
Yeah, of
Is
course.
it your foot measured up to your goggles? Is that your height? And it picks up every time you take a step, and you go natural surface.
Yeah.
There's the corner of a building. How do you get your eave, underside of eave?
See, I've already thought about all that
reach?
stuff.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to have a wonderful conversation there.
But yeah, I think the theodolite will die in about 10 years.
Interesting.
That it's at the moment it's the most accurate thing.
Coming back at you in 10 years,
Yeah.
I'm putting a reminder.
I'm
putting
hoping
a
it
reminder
dies.
in my phone.
It needs to be like just the idea like of carrying your jigger and carrying your legs and carrying your pole and carrying your field bag, and you're literally like a donkey. You're just carrying all this gear. There's going to come a point where it's just going to be fine tuned, where you're going to have like a sleeve with a computer screen on it.
Yeah.
And that's all you're going to need to carry. And then you can do all your field notes on there. And then you might still have your field bag and might put like some points for your control, like some nails in concrete or whatever you need to do. Maybe some retros. I don't like, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but there will be a more efficient process of doing that. And there's already...
I don't disagree.
Yeah. Like at the moment, have you seen the laser scanner that you just kind of point and it just scans a room and it creates a 3D model?
Is that the BLK?
I don't know what the model is. But I've seen a video on YouTube, and this person, I think he had a backpack, or he was just holding something forward, and he would just constantly shoot like a laser, and he created a 3D model of the room, and he just walked through the room and just scanned.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's BLK, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So technology is getting better and better, and I think for that type of job, for the accuracies, you don't need a theodolite for that. So give it 10 years, I think it'll die. I think.
I'd still like to have a look at that data and see how accurate the data is of the scanning.
Yeah.
What is it used for?
Yeah.
Internals, okay. Yeah,
I think it was
might be
internals.
fine.
I think it was internals. I didn't see anything
If we're
for
trying
outdoors.
to position a building on a boundary.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't use it for stuff like that.
No, well,
I'm saying in
horses for
10 years.
courses,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
So I said, every piece of equipment has a specific job on the accuracy that you need.
Yeah.
It all comes down to your accuracy, your precision and accuracy.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
Can't half tell I'm a surveying teacher. Sorry.
No, you're all right. All right, so this is my hypothetical question, and then we'll end it there because we're getting an hour and 5 minutes.
All right.
It's a pretty easy one, I think. So, would you rather be immortal? So, after 40 years old, you don't age anymore, and that's it. At 40 years old, you stay like that and you live forever.
Right.
Or would you rather have eternal youth? So, you get to the age of 21 and you stay like that, but on your 100th birthday, you die.
21.
So you would just have eternal youth?
Yep.
Why wouldn't you choose to be immortal?
I want to live forever.
A lot of people say that. They wouldn't want to live forever.
No.
I'm kind of...
The changes, I'm sorry, but our world is horrible.
Do you reckon?
Yep.
It can be. We're already going through a pretty rough time right now.
There's some horrible things happening. There are horrible
Oh,
people
100%.
everywhere. I would much rather be a happy 21-year-old and find the good things in life and enjoy them while I can and know that I've done everything that I can and leave.
I guess there's a beauty when it comes to when it's more temporary rather than you're all going to live forever and it's just something that you've done before and it's repetition, right?
Yep.
I thought about it if you had all your loved ones with you and they were immortal as well, that would probably make things a lot easier. But if you were the only one immortal, then I wouldn't want that.
You don't have kids, do you?
No, not yet anyway. Why? What makes you say that? We don't want to be immortal because you have kids.
I love my boys. I do love them and their girls, their partners. But you need space.
Oh, yeah. You'll have space, of course.
Yeah. No, I just think that we have a time and place here.
I think you're right. I would also
get
choose...
me to 100.
Yeah.
And then...
That's it. On your 100th birthday, you just throw a huge party and then see you later.
And then burn me and throw me back in the ocean where I belong.
But imagine being 79 years of just looking 21.
How good would that be?
I still have my hair.
I'm 21, can't you tell?
Yeah, of course. Of course you're 21. So
my body doesn't tell me that.
One more question.
Yeah.
Tea or coffee? For those who know, that's a defining boundaries reference.
That is one of my questions. I'm a tea in the morning. First thing in the morning, I love my cup of tea. And then I'll have a coffee. And then I'm tea the rest of the day.
How many teas do you have during the day?
It depends on the day.
Oh, really? Just pumping them out?
Yeah.
I'm a one coffee man. And then if I absolutely need it, I'll get a second.
I may go for a second coffee occasionally, depending on the day. Depending on the day, there may be a third. But no, I try and stick to one nice coffee. I'm a coffee snob.
Oh, same.
I am a coffee snob, and I will tell everybody because I would rather have that one nice coffee than 3 crap ones.
Isn't it devastating when you get a bad coffee and you pay top dollar?
And you pay.
Does my head in.
My friend and I have done it twice. We've gone for a walk in a place that we wouldn't normally walk, and we got a coffee, and 2 times it's been disgusting. to the point that you couldn't drink it.
I had that one time. I took one sip and I went, I just paid $6 to just go this.
But isn't it ridiculous that
it's
$6 for a coffee?
They sting me $6 because I always get oat milk because I can't drink normal milk.
Yeah,
so if I could,
gotcha.
I'd probably spend like maybe $5. But still, they sting me. But anyway, so we'll probably wrap it up here, actually. Thank you for coming on. If you want to do a bit of a plug for your podcast so people can tune in.
Yes. Defining Boundaries podcast by Peta Cox. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor. I don't know. There's about 7 platforms. Go to petacox.com and you can find it there. There's also resources on my page as well. So, and hit the Geoholics up as well. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, they are. So, guys, I'm just going to do another cheeky plug for myself. So, it's Zaf's podcast. I've got an Instagram, I have a TikTok, and I have a YouTube. So, if you can like and subscribe onto the YouTube. Do you have a YouTube as well? Is that what you would get?
No, I have a YouTube. Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Yeah,
My
that's right.
God, how
Defining
could I not?
Boundaries at
Defining
Instagram.
Boundaries on Instagram, Survey Geek Girl on Instagram, and the Geoholics on Instagram.
There you go. And then, so do you have TikTok or anything else or just Insta?
Oh, TikTok's just me.
Okay. Do you have a TikTok account? I should follow you.
Yeah. It's Hey Coxie.
Okay. I'll follow you later tonight.
Hey Coxie. I don't do as much on there.
Still, I try to, I feel like you get good interaction with TikTok, but anyway, that's a whole other topic. I'm not going to get into that now.
And if you want to be professional, find me on LinkedIn.
I should have a LinkedIn.
You need a LinkedIn.
I've got my personal LinkedIn, but not a Zaf's podcast LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just have me.
Yeah.
Me.
I actually followed you today on LinkedIn.
Oh, did you?
I completely forgot. I was like, because I never go on my LinkedIn. And I thought, you know what? I've actually never looked you up on LinkedIn. And I looked you up. I'm like, oh my God, look at your career. It's insane. I'm like, wow, you've done so many different things.
I want an award.
Yes, you did. You did recently. Congratulations.
How could I forget that?
I completely forgot to say, congratulations. I saw on your Instagram.
Thank you. Yes. Oh gosh, what was it called? I can't even remember now.
I don't remember the award, but I remember you going up on stage and you did a little speech.
Exceptional educator, I think it was. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yep, empowered women, trades.
Hold on. All right, guys. I'll see you at the next episode in a fortnight. See you later. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.